Most definitely, I'm not saying anyone deserved to die, but I do believe that racial harassment was a contributing factor to this incident.
Our world has real people with real problems. Let's talk about it.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining into Let's Talk About It, an open platform of communication where anything can be served without judgment. Tonight, before we get into this story, I initially want to apologize. I know I haven't done a video in a while, but I've been sick. I've been to the hospital 2 times, and as well, I've been working on this backyard for the last couple of weekends with the attack from these weeds. I don't know if it rained where you live at like it does here in Arizona, but when it rains, we have these big, ugly, huge, ugly weeds, and they be everywhere. So that was really hard work. I got that taken care of, and then as well, I do have a full-time job. So hell, you don't work, you don't fucking eat. But the story that I want to discuss tonight, I want to talk about Mr. Anthony Ferrill, Ferrill, out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is actually my hometown where I'm from, and this man snapped. He snapped allegedly because of repeatedly racial acts. So let me give a shout out to one of my sponsors, and then I'll be right back and we'll get right into this story. Thank you. If you're looking to purchase some great eyelashes and show off your eyes, follow Queen Lashes, Mink Lashes by Shania. Each set of queen lashes are named after one of our historical queens. They come in 5 different variations with 4 different lengths. 2 of them are the same length but have different textures. The 20 millimeter lashes are Queen Amina. She was well known as a warrior princess. The 25 millimeter lashes are Queen Ranavalona. She was known as a patriotic leader. The popular 26 millimeter lashes come in 2 different textures. Queen Cleopatra are the pixie style lashes. She was a popular political figure from ancient Egypt. Queen Nandi are the layered thicker lashes. She was the mother of Shaka Zulu. The 27 millimeter lashes are Queen Nefertiti, and her name means a beautiful woman has come. Queen lashes come with a set of lashes, a purple keepsake box, and a gold pair of tweezers with Your Highness written on them. The complete set sells for $25 with a shipping fee of $2 in the United States only. Each order would take 7 to 10 business days. To place your order and to establish which queen you are, you can follow Shania on Instagram at queen underscore lashes underscore n. So that's queen, QUEEN underscore lashes, LASHES underscore n. And simply DM her, direct message her. Thank you for following queen underscore lashes underscore n. Okay, thank you guys for staying tuned in. Let's get right into this story. Y'all see my pretty roses my husband bought me? He bought me these last week, Thursday. They still look pretty. Well, they actually just started blooming really well. That's my favorite part, the blooming process. So, thinking about giving me something? Give me some roses. I'll take them. Okay, so the title of this story, this is a story that actually just came out. I think it was last week sometime, March the 4th, 2020 at 5:11 p.m. From the Washington Post. It says, the title of the story is Noose Found on a Gunman's Locker at Milwaukee Coors Facility Years Before Deadly Shooting. Current and former employees of Molson Coors Brewery here say there is a long-held culture of racism, including racist cartoons placed in workspaces, The N-word scrawled in break rooms and bathrooms and nooses hung at the facility. One on the locker of an employee who killed 5 co-workers there last week. I didn't say this, so don't y'all start saying Kimberly from Let's Talk About. I'm reading it from the story. I can't make this up. Okay? Police have not provided a motive for the February the 26th rampage, which ended when gunman Anthony Ferrill killed himself inside the famous brewery that has produced Miller beer for more than a century. I know going downtown, I smelled was beer going down there. But they don't never have a motive when it's something that has been occurring over and over again and they're trying to cover it up. In a statement released Wednesday, the Milwaukee Police Department said that based on its preliminary investigation, neither race nor racism played a role in the shooting. Right, okay. The department is not aware of any of the victims targeted in a mass shooting being involved in any inappropriate or racist behavior towards the suspect. Ferrill, who is black, worked as an electrician at the facility for 17 years. 6 current and former employees and others with knowledge of the brewery said overtly racist acts have happened there for years. A noose was found on Ferrill's locker in 2015, they said, prompting a brewery-wide meeting with human resources. The employees also described a workplace where minority workers were subject to racist language and taunts based on their religion. Everyone knows the environment we worked in. It's just a sad situation that it actually happened, said former brewery worker Jelani Muhammad of the Noose on Ferrill's locker. Molson Coors said Ferrill was not working the day the Noose was reported. Our HR team notified him of the incident. It was investigated fully. No camera footage was available to show who placed it on the locker, the company said in a written statement to the Washington Post. The company said it offers security and human resources services to Ferrill, but did not say whether he had made use of them. Adam Collins, the company's chief communications and corporate affairs officer, did not directly address employees' allegations of a racist culture at the facility, but in a statement, he said that the company investigates every single complaint of intolerance or harassment. And just because they investigate, that doesn't mean that they actually take actions to prevent this from happening. Because just as a company, if you're creating an environment like this and you're doing it over and over and again, somebody has to be held responsible to prevent situations like this. It's why we have terminated people for behavior we believe is unacceptable. It's why we have tried to create safe places for discussions on diversity and inclusion in our Milwaukee brewery and across our network, Collins said. But there's no two ways about it. We have more work to do, Collins said. Fostering an inclusive and welcoming workplace is something every organization has to work towards each day. And we aren't going to shy away from our responsibility to take a deep look at our own culture following this event. So they stated that a lawyer for Ferrill's family declined to make any comment. And at this point, there's nothing to be said because the action has already taken place, and then this man took his own life. So what is there to comment about? But Muhammad, who worked at the brewery from 2015 to 2019, said he endured taunts from co-workers about his name and the fact that he is a practicing Muslim. He said people will call him Jamal or Salami, and that's fucked up to call somebody Salami. I heard jokes about me putting a bomb in someone's car or putting a bomb somewhere in the building, said Muhammad, 32. I never took it to management because there was a time when a guy was making a joke in front of a supervisor and the supervisor didn't say a thing about it. And I'm sure that happens in many of businesses and companies every day. Muhammad said the stress of the environment took a toll on his health. He gained weight and he was crippled by anxiety. He said he almost called a suicide hotline. Finally, he quit. Now, for someone to taunt you that bad to where you gaining weight and you stressed out about it and you feel like you want to commit suicide and have to call a suicide hotline, that had to be really harsh. And then he just quit. Current and former employees said the brewery department was notorious for talk of racism and sexism. It's the Good Old Boys Club to this day. I know about the Good Old Boys Club. One of my previous employers had a Good Old Boys Club. They got one in every company. There was a saying on the brewery floor, no blacks, and then it say no, and I think this word is bitches, but they got all the rest of the letters lined out. Said a current employee who spoke on the condition of the fear for jeopardizing his job. A former floor worker, who also spoke on the condition of what was going on was because he did not want this to affect his current employment. Said there was constant harassment, the constant nitpicking, the constant racial things that were done and allowed to be done because the complaints fell on deaf ears. And that's exactly what happens. It's just like a kid. If you allow a child to do something, they're going to continue to do it because they know that there's not going to be a consequence for it. The moment you tap that ass, then they calm down. Robert Powell, a sanitation worker at the plant from 2013 to 2018, said he saw the N-word scrawled in the bathroom stall in the brewery and a swastika carved in the locker room wall. He recalled a conversation with Ferrill in March of 2016 while they were on break watching college basketball games. He was a cool guy, didn't show any type of aggression, Powell said. But when Powell, who is black, said he was thinking of applying to transfer to the brewery, he said Ferrill had a warning, they will hate on you down there. Raylan Claiborne, 39, a machinist who worked for the brewery for 13 years until he was fired for missing work in 2018, said there was a panel room in the brewery department that served as the central nervous system for making beer. He alleges that white employees hung racist cartoons there, including of monkeys and blackface characters eating watermelons, and y'all know we love some damn watermelon, and y'all wrong for talking about people who like watermelon. And they remained there until the black employees removed them. That's harsh. We were immune to it. That was the norm. We would just take them down, he said. Molson Coors said that it is not aware of racist cartoons being displayed at the plant. Okay, yeah. Some employees recalled racist acts in other departments of the brewery, a sprawling plant that employs 1,400 people with this towering red Miller beer sign and mural deeming it home of the highlight. The facility is one of Milwaukee's most recognizable places. It is also a tourist attraction where people can pay $10 for tours of the complex, including its packaging and distribution centers and famed beer caves sampling libations along the way. Renard Counts, who worked as a machine operator from 2015 to 2017, recalled an incident in a driver's break room where many black employees congregated. On the room sign, someone scrawled the N-word in front of the driver's counts and said, and wrote, "Niggas must die on the wall." So that means that if they screwed the N-word in front of the drivers, then it said, "Nigga drivers break room." That's doing too much. Don't get mad at me. I'm just reading it. Okay? I'm not making this up. I'm just reading it. I can give y'all the link to the story where y'all can read it yourself. The current employee said he witnessed a noose duct taped to the locker of another black employee around 2012. So this been going on a long time. This is 2020. He said the company, excuse me, he said the company investigated but did not figure out who placed the noose on the locker. Most and Coors did not comment on the allegation. They ain't got nothing to say about that. But they got plenty to say about this young man who was harassed for all these years and nothing at all was done or said about it. Let's see here. Employees said that the noose on Ferrill's locker was discussed at a brewery-wide meeting held in the stables of the brewery, a historic room that once housed the draft horses but now is a meeting space. Ken Light, the brewery manager, led the meeting, employees said. He said, obviously this isn't right. We don't tolerate this. The current employee recalled adding that the manager told employees to respect each other. It was the kind of thing that you would expect a brewer manager to say. That's because that's all that they was gonna do. Period. Light, now retired and living in Minnesota, declined to comment, saying it was not in his best interest to speak. They still got people scared to speak who don't even work there no more. Collins said the company has indeed had all plant meetings when concerns are raised. Electricians earn more than $32 an hour, according to their union, which made some workers afraid to rock the boat for fear of losing good paying jobs, Khan said. So they had to deal with the racism and the harassment or lose their job, basically, is what it was. And don't nobody want to lose no job, especially when you get accustomed and adjusted to making money like that and you got a family to take care of, you know. The culture of the company was very, very toxic, Claiborne said. If I wasn't making $30 an hour, I wouldn't be working a job like that. See? State Senator Lena C. Taylor, a Democrat who is running for mayor of Milwaukee, said she has spoken to employees since the shooting about what she characterized as a racially toxic environment at the plant. Ms. Lena Taylor said that. I didn't say it, Lena said it, I'm just reading it. Based on what the colleagues have told me, Ferrill had to deal with a lot, she said. So do I believe it was a contributing factor? Yes, I believe that as well it was. Yes, there's no question I believe the racial harassment was a contributing factor. I don't see how it would not be. Miller's and Coors, which announced the formation of a joint venture in 2007, have faced accusations of racism in the past. This is a lot. In 1984, when the Milwaukee plant was still owned by Miller, William K. Coors, then chairman and chief executive of Adolph Coors Company, was quoted saying that black people lack intellectual capacity. Oh, okay. What the hell that's supposed to be? The Los Angeles chapter NAACP called for a boycott, and more than 500 Southern California liquor stores stopped selling Coors beer. The company signed agreements with Black and Hispanic groups to hire minorities, invest in minority-owned businesses, and increase the number of minority distributors. And then in 1994, Miller Brewer Company paid $2.7 million to settle a racial harassment suit brought by black workers at the company's plant in Fulton, New York, according to news reports at the time. So this is something that this company is just accustomed to, and they just keep allowing it. And these paying these settlements don't mean nothing. Obviously, they kept allowing this. The sad part is, all these people didn't die because of this. The workers alleged they had been subjected to harassment that included racist graffiti, nooses, and racial slurs broadcast over the brewery's public address system. The company closed the plant shortly before settling the lawsuit and laid off 900 workers. So people got to get laid off and lose their jobs because y'all allowing this to carry on. That outcome has loomed over concerns about the racism in the Milwaukee facility, employees said. Beer sales nationally are already slipping, and Molson Coors announced in October that it is closing its Denver office as a part of a corporate restructuring plan. I don't care about none of that. I don't want to hear about none of them jobs and stuff. I want to talk about how they set up and allowed this stuff to happen that put Mr. Ferrill in a position to where he had to snap like this. Okay. So Ferrill worked as an in-house electrician in the powerhouse utility area of the 82-acre plant. His personality made him a target, said current employee. He had known Ferrill for more than a decade. He was a soft-spoken guy. Ferrill lived in a modest tan rambler in Milwaukee with his wife and a beloved Doberman that he often walked through the neighborhood. His wife's Facebook page, now inaccessible, showed a typical middle-class life with pictures of their grandkids and a trip to see the musical Hamilton, but co-workers said he was struggling at work. I'm sure he was. I mean, if you had to experience something like that for years and years, and you knew you had to keep your job to maintain and keep your family afloat, of course you're going to be struggling. He had long suffered from chronic back pain that left him frustrated and may have impacted his ability to work. According to Lord, I don't want to hear about all that. I'm talking about what happened to cause him to snap. Let's see here. Ferrill told Gabbard that his career at Molson Coors made him happy, paid him well, and allowed him to support his family, his wife, his 2 adult children, and a younger daughter. Like I said, ain't nobody they gonna deal with it when they got a family and kids and stuff to take care of. But added that working as an electrician at multiple buildings around the campus was more physically demanding than it seemed. He was off work for a time on a workers' compensation claim and became convinced that the company was spying on him, that his house had been broken into, colleagues said. Ferrill's family issued a statement Friday that said they feel terrible sadness and heartache over the tragic incident and that they were shocked and dismayed to learn of the apparent involvement of their family member. Now, y'all see this story, it's several employees at this company that experienced, not 1 or 2, several of them that experienced the racism, the repeatedly racism with the slurs and the graffiti and the nooses, and nothing happened. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about how I summed it all up. Let me give a shout out to another one of my sponsors, and I'll be right back with more Let's Talk About It. If you're looking to add a little elegance to an event, reach out to Color Columns by Shavante. Color Columns balloon columns are iconic party event decor made out of latex balloons. They come with toppers in a variety of different styles, featuring babies, Disney themes, numbers, myth characters, sports, etc. Whatever your heart desires, that's available. Color Columns cater to baby showers, birthdays, gender reveals, weddings, dinners, family gatherings, and social events. Any event, room, or space that is in need of a transformation. Color Columns is $50 a column with a delivery fee of $5 in the Milwaukee and close areas only. Please place your order 7 days in advance by following Shavante on Instagram at Color Columns. That's spelled with a K and it's one word. KOLORKOLUMNT, or you can contact her via text message at 262-661-9227. Thank you for following Color Columns. Okay, so thank you guys so much for staying tuned in with Kay. Let's talk about it. Let me just sum it all up to what I broke it down to, because this a horrible story. And it's unfortunate that this young man had to. He worked so hard and then he lost all of that because of something that could have been resolved. So, who was Anthony Ferrill? Anthony Ferrill, this man was someone's husband. He had a wife. He was someone's father. He had 3 children and he had grandchildren. He served in the U.S. Coast Guard from 1987 to 1991, and he was honorably discharged. And he worked at the brewery for more than 20 years as an electrician. I'm going to break down what happened on Wednesday, February the 26th of 2020. So, on Wednesday, February the 26th of 2020, after having been terminated, Anthony Ferrill launched into his deadly shooting rampage. The shooting took place during a shift change. A report states that Anthony Ferrill stole a colleague's ID in order to return to the scene. The Milwaukee Police Department stated that they were called to the brewery at 2 p.m. It was reported that Anthony Ferrill was armed with 2 guns, one with a silencer. Y'all, but this man was in the services. I don't know why they was messing with him. He was a Coast Guard. By 2:19 p.m. local time, an email was sent to Miller Coors Brewery employees to say there was an active shooter on the campus. So I'm going to read something to y'all. I want to give a shout out first of all to Tony Muhammad. He's a young man. Go to his Twitter and his Facebook. He talked a lot about this story, and I really appreciate him sharing this information so that just as a world, as a community, we can see actually what, Mr. Ferrill was experiencing. So thank you, Mr. Tony Muhammad. So he stated that Anthony Ferrill suffered from racial discrimination and harassment from coworkers. He filed a civil lawsuit against Miller Coors Brewery racist work environment. The racial coworkers hung a hangman noose on his locker. He was rehired after the lawsuit 5 years ago. The racist harassment continued when he returned to work at Miller Coors Brewery. This time, the racist co-workers humiliated him by pasting spade cards on his work locker. They made it unbearable for him to be able to work with these racist antics. And these racial acts actually caused him to go over the edge and end this racial harassment himself. He snapped. It's unfortunate. We got 5 people killed in total. An additional 1 including him via suicide. They stated that the complaints fell on deaf ears, caused this man to snap. Robert Powell, who was a former worker, says that Anthony Ferrill, this man didn't show any type of aggression. So these things are the things that caused him to snap like this. Another former colleague of his, which was Mr. Philip Ross, who retired from Miller Coors Brewery in April of 2019, said that Anthony Ferrill was a very good electrician. He was a very good worker. And he couldn't say anything bad about him. Every time he seen Anthony, he said he was in a good mood. I read something about one of his neighbor of 15 years, said he was like a son to her. And she couldn't even believe that he was the actual shooter. I mean, everybody said nothing but good things about him. And when I read the records, this man didn't even have a criminal record. Only thing he had in Wisconsin was a traffic ticket, and that was back in 2016. Now they're talking about all these things. They're judging him and criticizing him, and they're making all these accusations about this man. But my question is, why does Miller Coors Brewery have a long history history of on-the-job discrimination against African American employees? And why is it still an issue today? That's something to think about. Rest on that. Because that is the reason why this man snapped. For years he dealt with this. And I want to read y'all a story. I was cracking up at it. My husband actually showed it to me the other day. I asked him to send me the story. The title of the story is White Woman Gets Her Ass Whooped. I'm going to put this link in my description as well for y'all can read it. Let me see here. She was on the airport. She was on the airplane. And she called one of the attendants a nigger. And when she did that, she called the flight attendant a nigger. And the black female started beating her ass for doing it. And then after that, she wanted everybody to feel sorry for her and shit. But this shit was funny. Let me see if I can get it to come up. This shit's so funny. I'm going to put the link in my description box so y'all can see it. She said, you gonna sit here and call him a fucking nigga while you sitting on side of an African American? That's crazy. I'm gonna put this story in the description box of this story, but just pay attention. We need to stop this, people. We all are the same people. None of us are no different than either one of us. And I'm just an open person. I'm not racial. I feel like we all are sisters and brothers. I love everybody. I have plenty of Caucasian friends. I have plenty of African American friends. I have plenty of Mexican friends. And, you know, I don't understand why is there still an issue. And, you know, people, you need to stop bringing this up in your household, you know, because this is stuff people get from home. This ain't nothing that was just created. This been going on for a long time, but we need to stop it because look what it's done. It's been set up here and caused this man to snap to the point to where he just totally forgot about his whole life that he created and he built. This man was a U.S. Coast man. He was on his job more than 20 years. That's stability. You know, he had his own home. He had a wife. He had a family, just like all of us. They caused him to snap. And see, what happened is you keep nicking and you keep picking with people like this lady on the airplane. She got that ass whooped because you sitting up here calling people niggas. You can't just call people niggas and just think that they not going to say nothing about it. That, you know, that's not right. And it's cruel. And it's cruel to say it. I know when I was younger, we used to play a lot, and we used to be saying that a lot, but I have really trained myself to stop saying that to my sisters and brothers, to each other. I had to teach myself to stop because we more than that. You understand what I'm saying? That's not who we are, you know. We are African Americans, you know. We are human beings, and we are all equal. There's nothing in this world that no one is doing that we all can't have, period. So I just want to take the time out to thank you guys for allowing me to present this story. I'm going to try to do better, y'all. I know I've been slipping, but I'm going to try to do better, okay? I'm going to make sure I put all the information in my description page. Make sure you go to my website, www.KLetsTalkAboutIt.com. On my homepage is all my links to all my social medias. If there's something you want to talk about, hit me up in one of my links and we will most definitely talk about it, okay? And until next time, our world has real people with real problems. Let's talk about it.
Our world has real people with real problems. Let's talk about it.